Hi everyone. I wanted to participate in the testimony challenge. I posted on my story, Jordan's hosting it, and Ava participated in it as well. I'm choosing to share my testimony as well. I've shared it in church a few times, so I know many of you have heard it already, but I encourage you to stay anyway, because I'm going to go a little bit more in depth this time, because I'm not on time straight or anything. But we're going to go way back into my childhood. Kindergarten, I believe. I was in kindergarten when everything began. We were going on a field trip to the Boston Children's Museum, and I was pumped. Obviously, probably the most exciting field trip I've been on up to that point was Stop and Shop, I think. So this is pretty exciting. It's a really cool place, honestly, and we had gone through the whole museum. It was at the end of the day, and there's this huge maze it goes to the ceiling, and it's a pretty high ceiling, and I was super pumped, so eager to go on it. And the thing about the maze is it looks cool and all, but you can find your way up super easy. You just keep going up. It's like stairs. The hard part is coming back down. That's the maze part. My little pea brain of a kindergartner didn't realize that, so I go to the top, the tippity top, and then I realize I can't find I realized I can't find my way back down. And my mindset as a kindergartner is my mom's gonna leave me. I'm never gonna see my family again. She's gonna forget about me. It's all these irrational thoughts because I'm little and I don't realize what's going on. I bet if I were just 2 years older, this wouldn't have traumatized me as it did. But it did. It traumatized me. I ended up finding my way down and I was fine. But I remember that day I had a meltdown because it was the very first time that I had experienced anxiety. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know how to explain the emotions that I was feeling. But it was terrorizing. And I eventually, my pediatrician diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder. And you wouldn't think that getting lost in a children's museum maze would cause that, but it did, because I was little and I didn't know what was going on in the moment. So that anxiety carried out through all my life, my elementary years, my middle school years. It affected me, and I did have pretty bad separation anxiety, but it wasn't strictly separation anxiety. It carried on, seeped into all different areas of my life, and really had a strong hold. I worked around my anxiety. I didn't work around it. It was like the centerpiece for most of my childhood. So yeah, it subsided a little bit as I started to really get involved. Not really involved, but I went frequently to youth group, and I started to get to know Jesus, and I built my relationship with him, but mostly it was only at church. I didn't really work on it outside of church, and if I did, it was really focused around my anxiety. If I did have feelings of anxiety, I really centered my focal point around that. And I would go to him when I was feeling anxious. I wouldn't just go to him, I focus way more on my healing than the healer. But it was, I was in 10th grade, I believe, and I finally chose to go to something called Smith Mills Camp. I know a lot of you have heard of it, but those of you who don't know what it is a program that is a week long, and we stay at Smith Mills Camp in Dartmouth, and it's 7 days, a week. I already said that. And we do different activities. We have worship in the morning and at night, and sermons day and night. We do all kinds of activities together. We go out waterways at one point in the week. We do all sorts of games. It's an amazing time of community to get to know other believers and build relationships and grow deeper in your relationship with God. It's incredible. But it was Thursday in the week, and I heard about prayer work. I heard how incredible prayer walk was, but my anxiety caused me to overthink it, and I ended up being anxious about Prayer Rock. Of course, out of all things, I was anxious about Prayer Rock. My mind started running. I was thinking, what if something goes wrong? What if my anxiety kicks in? What if God tells me something I don't want to hear? All these irrational thoughts. I let them have a hold. So I was nervous about Prayer Rock. But it finally reached the point, and it was quiet. There was music going. God's presence was there. It was so peaceful, and there were all sort of different stations. There was one where you would write the name of someone you need to forgive, and you would wash it off in the water, and it was kind of like a metaphor for, officially forgiving them. And in the midst of this, you would pray and really encounter Jesus there. But I had gone through many of the stations, and I finally got to one where you write on a little paper something that you haven't fully given to God yet, something that has been kind of like a blockade between you and God, and is stopping you from giving your all to Him. And obviously the first thing that came to my mind was anxiety, because it had been on my mind for most of that day. So I wrote that on the paper, and I went into depth on that sticky note. I wrote the specifics of what was provoking my anxiety, all of my worries, all categories. And I folded the paper up, and in that moment, rather than asking God to please heal me, I just surrendered to Him, and I took all these burdens that were on the paper and threw it in the fire. And it wasn't the action of throwing that paper into the fire. It was God. He miraculously healed me in that moment. It was supernatural. And it, like I said, it wasn't the action. It's not, miracles aren't, you say a specific word and then it happens. It's not, I don't know if you guys have seen Wizards of Waverly Place, but if they say the wrong word, maybe someone will turn into a frog rather than, disappear. That's not what miracles are like. God chose in that moment to heal me because He saw it as fit. And, He supernaturally healed me. That doesn't mean that, maybe you're dealing with anxiety or depression or physical sickness, whatever it may be. I so encourage you to just lean on Jesus, because that's the best you can do. And it doesn't have to be supernatural. I was watching a podcast by KB. He's a Christian rapper, and it's called Southside Rabbi, and he talks about how we often dissociate the supernatural and the natural, supernatural and the mundane, how we often discredit God for what's happening in the mundane because we think that only supernatural healings are from Him, but God can still heal through medicine, through Christian counseling, whatever it may be. All the best advice I can give you is to fully surrender to Him, give Him your burdens, fully lean on Him, trust Him, and pursue Him, because that changed my life. And my life hasn't been 100% perfect. I did miraculously go a whole year without, I don't think I had any anxiety that year, and that if you have anxiety, you know that doesn't just happen. But yeah, from that moment that I threw that paper in the fire, I didn't have anxiety for a whole year. When I think about it, you can't ever tell me that God isn't omnipotent, that He's all powerful, that He isn't real, that I can hold on to that encounter with Him and forever. I probably look back on it at least recently every single day, but at least every week or so, and it constantly reminds me of His greatness and His power. But where was I going? Oh yeah, I do have my moments still. I'm not perfect, but rather than I think most of my life I relied on the knowledge that I can trust in God, and the Bible says I can trust in God, and I believe in the Bible. I relied on that knowledge. Once I had that encounter with God, I had this new understanding that I really can trust in God. Knowledge and understanding are different. Pastor Michael Todd talks about this analogy. I like analogies. He says, we all have the knowledge that we shouldn't text and drive. Once we get in a car accident, or a loved one gets in a car accident due to texting and driving, we have the understanding that we really should not text and drive. And once we don't personally text and drive at all, we walk in the wisdom that we should not text and drive. And now, through my knowledge and understanding, I walk in the wisdom that I can fully trust in God, and it's the most freeing feeling in the world. And you know, I do have to constantly remind myself I have to work towards it. You know, I have to pursue Him, I have to seek Him, I have to deepen my knowledge of Him. It's work, but it's all the worth it, because my God is so great and He loves me beyond measure, and it's my relationship with Him is the most rewarding thing I'll ever have. It's my purpose. And I encourage you guys, if you have any questions, if you need prayer, if you need advice, my DMs are 100% open, and I care for each and every one of you, and I want to help you. So yeah, that is my testimony. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it was impactful. Thank you.